Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Poof here. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but I'm back. I kind of want to start uploading to YouTube again, so I'm back. So recently, I've actually played through the entire Devil May Cry series. And I was on YouTube one day, and I was like trying to find a Devil May Cry like all bosses tier list, and it like doesn't exist. So I figured, you know what? Well, at least not one I could find. So you know what? I think I'm gonna make one. I've played through each of the games once, so it's basically just based off my initial playthrough and my initial basically reaction to them. So yeah, just doing them all in alphabetical order. So let's I gotta get through 61 bosses here. So some of some of these bosses I don't have much more to say than the other ones. So if some of them don't have like crazy long descriptions, I want to try to at least keep this video as short as possible. So let's get straight into this. So Agni and Rudra from Devil May Cry 3. We're gonna put that in my A plus. I'm giving it A plus. It was the first gank fight that I ran into in the series, and it's actually done really well. It actually took me a second to realize how to to parry them to do more damage. Like it took me. I remember my first attempt. It took me for fucking ever to do this fight, and I ended up dying actually, because they pulled an Ornstein Snow on me, and I killed one of them finally. And then the other guy took his weapon and just absolutely shredded me. So it actually can be pretty challenging if you don't get them both down to super low health and then kill them. Like once one dies, you have about probably a 2 minute time window to kill the other one. So yeah. Let's see, Agnes. I think he's okay. I don't love him in Devil May Cry 4. I think um he's like what I think he's a super mid. Like firstly he's a weird ass character, but I think he's just super mid. Arius from Devil May Cry 2, super underwhelming for being the main bad guy in the game. Super fucking underwhelming, like ridiculously underwhelming. The Lucia version isn't as bad, but it's still a pretty big disappointment for being the final boss in the game. Arkham I think is pretty mid. He's pretty boring. You only fight him once with Virgil, and it's pretty boring. It's kind of a snooze fest because it's really the little I forget what they're called that come out of the ground and attack you. It's like the only challenge. Like Arkham himself isn't really that challenging. He's pretty easy to fight. It's just the little minions he spawns are can be a little frustrating. But yeah, Artemis. I'm gonna put her in A. Artemis was a lot of fun. She forces you to dodge a lot and use the platforms in the air to dodge a lot of her arsenal, and it's just an overall really cool fight. Baal Dagon, I think in is okay in Devil May Cry 4. Has actually some decent bosses in it, so I think he's kind of like middle of the pack. I don't think he's super challenging or anything, but he is fun and he is a cool design and a really cool boss arena actually too, and a little bit of a scare factor when all you see is the two little floating girls, and then all of a sudden this giant ass fucking beast pops out of nowhere and tries to attack you. So he can be pretty annoying and pretty frustrating if he just keeps swallowing you, and it just drags the fight on for kind of a long time. So that can get a little frustrating. Anyways, Beowulf, also a Beowulf was um, in Devil May Cry 3 was a good time. He's really aggressive, and he gets actually progressively more aggressive as the fight goes on. So kind of like you're kind of going through the boss fight at first, and you're kind of like, oh, this is really easy, and then he just gets super hyper aggressive towards the end, and it starts to kind of throw you off. And you start to get this like level of comfort when you're fighting him, and then he kind of just pops off at the end and tries to kill you, obviously as quickly as he can. So that can get a little scary. So yeah, but it is fun, and you get a really badass weapon after too. I should think you take it off of Virgil when he kills Beowulf. But anyways, he produces a really cool weapon. Burial. We're gonna go A as well. This boss fight's just a fuck ton of fun. I mean, he's super fucking badass. It's all fire. He's super badass. He does a hell of damage. If he hits you, he does a fuck ton of damage to you. So that he can be a little scary at times. Barbus. So Bob Barbus, I'm gonna put an A plus. He's not super difficult, but the first of all, his whole level design with the prison and the news station, the network building, is fucking fire. It's super cool, super fun. The boss itself is really cool. You got this big floating head that's hurling insults at you the entire fight while you're on this little like news broadcast fighting the ads or the minions on the pier, and it's a lot of fun. That's probably the best. Yeah, probably the best fight in that game, I think. But yeah, it's a good time. Bulwark is okay. I'm gonna put him in B tier only because he just the only way he's challenging or a threat at all is when his wolves are alive. And the only reason why his wolves are kind of frustrating to kill sometimes is because the camera on DMC2 is fucking trash. So you're literally just sitting here trying to kill them, and he's just over here, just fucking you up. But once they're dead, he's super easy. I have him as Cavalier Angelo. He's all right. I mean, I don't really have much to say about him. I have more to say about the prototype Angelo later down the road. So we'll talk more about that as we get there. Cerberus, I'm gonna put an A plus. The not the intro boss, but he's the second boss in Devil May Cry 3, and really the first, because Devil May Cry 3 is known to be pretty challenging. Probably the most, actually no, Devil May Cry 5 is definitely the most challenging. But definitely a challenging game, and this was kind of like the first road bump for you. You got three heads, hurling stuff at you, and it takes a second to break the ice off his head to be able to actually damage him. So you got to get pretty aggressive with him, and that's a little weird for new players to the thought of just I'm gonna run up in his face and start smacking him. Credo, I'm debating whether to put Credo in S or A plus. I think I'm gonna put him in S. Credo. So up until this point, all the bosses in Devil May Cry 4 had been big monsters that are pretty semi easy to dodge and kill. Credo just changes the entire game with that. I mean, literally, the dude just is so fast, and he just does so much damage. Especially, like I said, just towards the like I said with some of the other bosses, towards the end of the fight, he just fucking goes crazy and just absolutely shreds you in 2 seconds. Oh, it's ridiculous. It was difficult. Definitely, I died a bunch of times to Credo. Oh, he's fun though. He's a really fun boss. Dante, Devil May Cry 4, also S tier. You've been playing as Dante up until this point, so it's pretty fun to go up against the guy, you've been playing as, and he uses all his styles on you, and he's also really quick. It's really difficult to get strikes in on him because he'll just dodge or, block with Royal Guard, and, it's difficult. He's incredibly quick. It does an incredible amount of damage, so. Aggro Sax, I think is how you say it. This is the final boss in Devil May Cry 2. Really also underwhelming, and I'm actually gonna count this with the boss before it, where it's just all of the bosses up until this point, up until the final boss combined, which I think is incredibly lazy. But this boss is just so underwhelming. He's really not that difficult at all, and it's kind of random, and it's just Devil May Cry 2 is a bad game. There's one boss that's not bad in the game, but we'll get to that later. Devil Urizen, probably put him an A plus. It's pretty fun. First of all, the arena is absolutely gorgeous in the big field. And it's pretty, honestly, the difficulty measure is pretty much RNG. If you get good RNG, it's really not that bad. If you get bad RNG, it's pretty difficult. So that's really all it comes down to. Actually, you know what? We're gonna move Devil Urizen down here. I don't think he's as good as these bosses up here. Phantom is an amazing intro boss to the series from Devil May Cry 1. He's really he's challenging for new players for sure, because basically you do most of your damage if you jump on top of him and start swiping down. And for new players, they either don't realize that you have to do that, or they do it and then they don't realize that he does an okay amount of damage. If you just stand there and keep wailing on him, he'll just shoot up those little lava cannons or lava shots or whatever you want to call them out of the ground, and just mess you up. And then eventually you're not going to out DPS him like that. So yeah, it's a good fight. And also, I like that in Devil May Cry 3, not Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 1, a lot of the bosses are going to be ranked decently high because of the idea that there are only a couple bosses in that game and you fight them multiple times, and that idea of it's more of a rivalry, and it becomes progressively more difficult and progressively more challenging. And it's always you're always needing to learn new mechanics. I think it's a really good mechanic for that game. So, what is this called? Tateo Basu. This boss is like kind of trash, honestly. I might even. No, I can't put it down there. Because it goes invisible. It's invisible, but it's not invisible because you can see the outline of it pretty easily, and it's underwater. And the camera, any underwater part in Devil May Cry 1 and 2 is just awful because the camera is terrible. It's like a fixed camera basically, and it's terrible. It's awful. Doppelganger, I'm gonna put at B only because I think he's a fine boss. I actually, when I first fought him, I didn't know what to do until I was just being fucking stupid. But I didn't know what to do. Once you figure out how to fight him, you basically just let him charge you and then open up the light. He's actually pretty easy. But the idea of it's pretty cool. It's a cool boss. I like it. Achinda. I'm gonna put her in A. For Devil May Cry 4. A lot of fun, ton of fun. I think it's the first. Actually, no, not the. Is it the first? No, Credo is. It's the second fast-paced boss in this game. I don't think she's really super challenging, but it does force you to keep you on your toes, and you can't really. Because a big theme in Devil May Cry in general is just being able to click Devil Trigger and walk up and just absolutely destroy things. You can't really do that with this boss because she ends up flying around half the time. So you kind of got to stay on your toes and watch for her to just dive you. Because that dive is no fun to deal with. Elder Garian Knight from Devil May Cry 5. It's okay. I think the original fight's better. I didn't struggle with this fight even a little bit. But, I mean, it's like whatever. It's super mid. Fyria Taurus from Devil May Cry 2. This might be a kind of a hot take. I think he's like fine. Like a lot of people don't like this boss, and I think he's fine because he was the first boss in Devil May Cry 2 that I actually like found like semi-challenging. And not that challenging is necessarily the end all be all of high rank these. Obviously looking at like Barbus is 0% challenging, but the boss fight's a lot of fun. I just think it's the first fight in Devil May Cry 2 that's faster paced, and it's it actually looks like a demon that you're fighting. It's more fun, and I don't know. I think it's not bad though. I don't think it's not great. I wish I could put it like in between here. It's not amazing because you still can't walk up and spam Devil Trigger, and Devil Trigger and Devil May Cry 2 is actually insane. Probably better than most of the other games. So Garyon, I remember when I fucking first fought. Let's put Garyon in. No, let's. It's hard because I don't feel like I can't put Fyria Taurus in A and Garyon in B. No, yes, I can. Garyon is like, so I first walked into the boss room. It's on a bridge, and I was like, "What the fuck is this horse running at me for?" And all of a sudden, I just got smacked by him. Like the only challenging part of this, I think, is just the first initial, like, this horse is running at me and I don't know what to do. Once you figure out how to damage him, and then once you're able to fall into the actual arena with him, he's super easy. It was kind of a joke, honestly. It was really, really easy. Nocturne, put him in D. This boss sucks. I mean, it's just a floating fucking with a moth, and it just literally sprays some acid on you, and you just shoot it. And then you have this little like larva in the ground that you fight. You kill that thing, and it just comes back every now and then. Like the moth comes back every now and then. It's a terrible boss. I mean, it's so bad. It's really just not great. Gigapede, I think, is like. Hold on, let me do this. Let me add a row above here and just put mid. We're gonna make there's like a couple bosses that are mid here. So we're gonna put Garion, you and we're gonna put Gigapede here in mid as well. He just like Okay, the first time I did, sorry, I kind of lost track of my thought there. When I first did Gigapede, I actually was just being stupid and just saw this enemy floating above me. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna shoot it the whole time. So that obviously took 15 minutes. When then I died with like we had like one health if I ended up dying for whatever reason. And so then I was like, all right, there has to be a faster way to do this. So I end up jumping and figuring out that you should jump on his back and swipe at him. But I don't think he's terrible. He's obviously not difficult, but I don't think he's an awful boss by any means. Because he's really early into the game. But yeah, I don't think he's awful. Let's see here, Gilgamesh. I think it's pretty underwhelming, honestly. I think this boss is like it looks cool and it looks badass, but it's literally just like you swipe at his legs and end up, jumping onto his top and swiping at him and then back down, back up, back down, back up. It's just it's really really mid. I mean, it's like okay, honestly at best. I wouldn't even say mid. It's like B at best, but I think I'm just gonna keep him at C. Goliath, I'm gonna put it A. I think Goliath's a really good intro boss. He really teaches you how to dodge because I feel like most of the game you just jump around. Most of the other games you just jump around, and that's kind of like your dodge. There's still a dodge button, but that's pretty much your dodge. And Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, 4, just being able to just jump around. But Goliath, you can't really beat him unless you actually learn the dodging mechanic, and it kind of forces you. And then it's kind of a theme for the rest of the game that you kind of have to dodge and instead of jump around. Like but it's annoying because you're used to it pretty much the entire time. Griffin, I don't think Griffin's very good. I think a lot of people rate Griffin pretty high just because it's one of the original bosses that has that theme of, oh, we're going to fight you 10 million times and you're going to get better every time. I really don't think he gets that much better. I think the first time's honestly the hardest. Oh, that's actually not true. The problem is, and it's not necessarily the boss's fault, is like, especially in the third fight with him, the camera is just terrible. I mean, you can't even see him half the time, and it's just terrible. I mean, any boss that like you just have to sit there and shoot over and over again, it sucks. I'm not a fan. Like at least in the first version of Griffin, in second version you can swipe at him, but you can't really swipe at him in the third fight. It's pretty ass, in my opinion. Hell Vanguard is like whatever, I guess. He's not really much of a. He's just the intro boss for Devil May Cry 3 on that first intro mission, or maybe the second mission, I think. And he ends up turning into like a regular enemy, honestly. So maybe he's just like whatever. Hunter, I think Hunter's just like Goliath. Great intro boss, quick, fast paced. I think it got some quick time events in it too. And the level's badass. And yeah, he's just a badass boss. Honestly, he's super fun. I had a great time playing this first boss. And yeah, not too much to go into. He's just like honestly just like Goliath. Teaches the mechanics of the game, teaches the important things, and it's easy to get you. It's not like some of these bosses on here. I feel like it's almost impossible to die to. Obviously, it's possible, but it's pretty. You have to really be trying to die to these bosses. You can very realistically die to, I would say, any boss from like mid and above. I would say these are pretty much big time jokes down here. Infested Chopper. Hold on. Let me. Okay. The worst boss in the entire series. It is terrible. Let's do this real quick here. This is bugging me. Okay, literally the worst boss in the series. I mean, it is. So basically, the premise of it, right? Well, I mean, infested. I'm not really gonna count the infested tanks because I mean they're not really much of a boss. But basically the premise of it is you climb this tower to get up to the top to fight the infested chopper that's in the air that you have to shoot the whole time. But if he hits you with one of your rockets, guess what? it hits you and it splashes you off the fucking top of the building. You fly all the way almost back down to the bottom. You have to reclimb the tower, and it's just a pain in the ass. It sucks. It's such a poorly made fight. Like, it's so frustrating when you're, when you're close or you're halfway through the fight, because, it already inherently takes a much longer time because you have to pretty much use your guns only. And, you get hit with a rocket and it sends you flying off the top of the building back all the way down. It's just really, it sucks. It's a poorly made fight. The infested machines, if that's what you want to call them, it's really terribly made. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's whatever. Jokot Golem. I don't know how to say this, but I think any fight in Devil May Cry 2 that makes it so that you can't spam Devil Trigger is at least mid. I think it's a good fight. I think it's solid. I think there's a lot of death potential in this boss. If you don't know what you're doing, or you're so used to spamming Devil Trigger, you just off the top go up and start spamming it and you lose your Devil Trigger, the thing can smack you up pretty easily. But it honestly, like I said, I think that's like the one problem with this. I think the series is actually a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun playing this series. I think the one problem that the series has is the games are automatically made much easier because you can just click Devil Trigger and just absolutely shred through anything, and then just like either use the purple star to get it back, or the Devil Trigger star is not purple, my bad. The Devil Trigger star to get it back, the Devil Trigger back, or just wait and then just Devil Trigger and then just shred them again, gain all your health back. So this boss you can't really do that with really that much. So it's I in my book it's a fine fight. Okay, let's see here. King Cerberus from Devil May Cry 5, I would say is up here. Probably and actually I'm gonna change my mind here. Oh, we'll do that. If I need to change it, I'll do that at the end. I think King Cerberus is fun as fuck. It's a little challenging. It pays homage to the original Cerberus, which is kind of an all-time great. Actually, we're gonna put it in A+. You get a super badass weapon. It adds basically the fight is the heads have different elements, and I think it's fire, lightning, ice, and they basically rotate and take turns try to do damage to you, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It is a little challenging as well, I won't lie. It's deep into the game, so it's a little challenging. But it is a good time. I really enjoy it. Boss is fun as fuck. Lady, fair as all-time great fight. She's really obnoxious. You can't really do a lot of damage to her at once because she just runs away and then just basically shoots you with her own rocket, and it's really fucking frustrating. But not in like a bad way, you know what I mean? Like it's not frustrating, and it's not frustrating because it's poorly designed. It's frustrating because it's actually kind of difficult. She, obviously is the main staple character to the series, a goat, so it's a good fight. I had a lot of fun fighting her. I didn't die at all to her, but I got pretty damn close a couple times. Luckily, I had a bunch of healing. So, Leviathan, probably in C. I don't know, the whole chorus thing. It was okay. It was kind of I like the concept. It just I don't think it was executed that well. The whole you have to wail on one core to like there's like the two cores in front of you that you can basically destroy to bring the third core out to do the main damage. This is okay. It's I mean it's whatever. Lilith. Here's the thing. Lilith the boss, B. Because it's like, I don't know, there's nothing really special about it. It's like okay, it's kind of gross, honestly. DMC Devil May Cry has a lot of gross moments in it. But the level, like the little like the nightclub gauntlet thing you go to, I think kind of bumps it up to mid to get to this boss. That shit's fun as hell. That is like great level. Also, I think the Barbus level takes the cake in that game, but I think that's a close second. Is the little that's what it is, the nightclub gauntlet. That's what I was looking. That was the term I was looking for. Good time. But I think it's mid. Malphus also mid. I died a couple times to Malphus because basically she just like sits there. The only way that I think you can die to Malphus is because she sits there and like kind of stores some stuff, like stores some energy up, and so you're just sitting there wailing on her, and you don't do a ton of damage, and she just lets it all go and just fucking murders you. It's ridiculous, but I don't think there's anything that special about the boss, honestly. Any boss I get to play, I don't remember. Do you play as V in this fight? I don't remember if you play as V or Nero. I think V. No, he plays Nero. But yeah, I think Malphus is like okay. I think there's a lot of bosses that are better in the game, but she's not the worst boss in the game by any means. By any means. Phantom in Devil May Cry 2. So basically they basically took this boss and put it in Devil May Cry 2 and made it a joke. It's a stupid fight. Like, it just pops out of nowhere. Like, sorry, I have a little bit of dry throat. Like, it literally just pops out of fucking nowhere, and you just fucking murder it, because you've already fought this boss 3 times at least from Devil May Cry 1, and it's just a joke. Like, it's super not challenging. It's super lazy. I mean, they literally just copy-pasted a boss. I mean, it's ridiculous. Mundus from Devil May Cry 1. So, if we're gonna put these, like, in order up here of what my favorite boss is, Mundus is number 1. Mundus is, like, when I tell you it's so much fun, I think that's kind of an understatement. Because this kind of fight, you don't do at any point in Devil May Cry 1, and you never do again in the entire series. So basically, you go into the room where Mundus is, big old Mundus, and you basically get into this, like, almost like space battle. You're flying in the air while Mundus is floating in front of you, and you have to... He's, like, floating, like, ways away from you, and you basically just have to make your way to him, and by dodging all the obstacles he throws in your way, and then you basically shoot out everything that's in front of him and do damage to it, because he'll have, like, a little shield with, like, turrets on it in front of him. You shoot those out, you basically start damaging him, and then use your devil trigger to basically, like, turn into a devil, obviously, and fly through him. It's super fucking cool. And then you go and fight in a different stage after, which is pretty difficult. You actually fight him 3 times, but the third version of Mundus is like whatever. I don't know. It's whatever. I don't really care about it that much. But the first 2 times you fight him, which you don't even fight him in 3 different, like, moments of the game, or 3 different parts of the game. You fight them all back to back to back. Anyways, but yeah. New Mundus in DMC Devil May Cry, trash. It's so bad. Like, it's just a super large version of Mundus slamming his hand on you, and you basically just pull his hand out and just attack his hand. It's trash. It's so bad. It's such a joke. Like, it actually kind of pissed me off fighting that fight, because it's like, this fight, the original Mundus fight, is fucking gold. It's amazing. It's super fun. But they just ruined it in DMC Devil May Cry. Like, it's just, Mundus is a big old pushover in DMC Devil May Cry. And he's supposed to, Mundus is supposed to be this badass demon, like the king of all demons that's immortal. And he's, whatever. But he's just a fucking pushover. Like, it's just like Arius. Honestly, I'm going to make a couple adjustments after we're done with this, but literally just like Arius. Just a fucking disappointment. It's fucking ridiculous. Nephostorus is probably the best boss in Devil May Cry 2. Probably. Yeah, I'll probably put him in A. First of all, you can't spam Devil Trigger on him, because he basically just shoots a fat beam in front of him, and that thing murders you. That thing does so much damage. And basically, if you try to walk in front of him and try to just, because a lot of the bosses in the series, you can just kind of walk up to their face and start smacking them. If you walk up to his face and start smacking him, he's gonna blow you the fuck back. I mean, he does crazy damage. You can't just go Devil Trigger and go crazy on him. And he's fun. I mean, you have to dodge. You have to kind of go around him and fight him. And then, like basically, like, his head will be higher, and then he'll shoot the beam, and then he'll come down. You have to dodge it again, and then go around his head. But, obviously you don't think of that at first. The first time, I actually died to him a couple times, because I was like, oh, cool. Fucking laser beam, or the big fucking beam's done. I'm walk up and start smacking him, and I'm gonna run away. and I start smacking him, and he just immediately just destroys me. So it's a good fight. It's it is a diamond in the rough, I will say. Yeah. Nilo Angelo from Devil May Cry 1. A plus, just like Phantom. Nilo Angelo is like, you don't, so with Phantom, you don't really have to learn really many different moves for him as you fight him several times in the series. Nilo Angelo, though, you have to, like, because the first time you fight him, he's actually pretty easy. I remember fighting him, like, this is a fucking joke. Like, what is this? And then the second time I fought him, I remember I had where the fuck holy water was. I think it's called holy water. And I used it, not knowing what it was, and I ended up killing him because he had, like, no health. But he actually was, like, really fucking close to killing him. I think he actually killed me once. So I was like, wow, that was actually, like, a little bit harder. And then the third time you fight him is pretty damn fun. He's pretty fucking hard. He's quick. He's quick strikes. His strikes are hard to. He's a lot of dashes, and his strikes are hard to jump because jumping is the main dodge in that game. So it's hard to jump away from it because he has range and he's quick and he's difficult for sure. He's definitely really tough. The third time around, I think the first two aren't too bad, but the third time around, it definitely took me probably like 7, 8, 9 tries to beat him the third time around. He definitely, and when I beat him the third time around, and that's with like full using Devil Trigger and everything, like it was close. So, Nevin, I'm trying to think if I want to put her S or A. Nevin, I'm gonna put her in S. Nevin is like what a Devil May Cry boss should be. I mean, she throws a but you can't really get too close to her because she'll just basically like charge up a little. That's not a shield, but kind of just blow like a little AOE blast and knock you back. And she has a lot of if you stand in front of her for too long, and she like has these little like black spikes that come up out of the ground, so you can't really stand in one place for too long. Also, she slams this electricity field. It gets really fucking annoying to deal with. So she'll like basically charge it up, and then for a second, big like the whole floor will turn electric. Also, the coolest weapon I think in the entire series you get the electric guitar. The weapon is so fucking cool. It is amazing. So I think Nevin's an S boss. I think she's pretty solidly up there. Let's see. Nidhogg. I think this boss is pretty mid. I almost died to this boss the first time. I think any boss where you get to play as V is pretty fucking fun. I think V's a super good character. But, I mean, I don't got much to say about him other than he's just a guy floating in like a grotesque like thing that's into the ground, and he basically is just pretty quick, and you just it's just another boss to basically learn how to dodge, and you're just kind of like Goliath, but not as good as Goliath. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's whatever. Nightmare. I think Nightmare is A because Nightmare is another boss. Like, Nightmare was like the OG. Actually, I'm gonna put him in A plus with the rest of the other two. I was saying most of the DMC1 bosses are gonna be up towards the top, except the one that I didn't want to put on top is Griffin. I think Griffin's a fucking stupid fight. Nightmare is difficult, definitely hardest. No, I would say Mundus is the hardest boss in Devil May Cry 1, but Nightmare a close second because you can only there's like a little ball that comes out of the back of him, and you have to destroy that in order to do. You have to hit that, and then I think another will pop up on top of him, and that's how you do damage. And you can't really do. The only way to do a lot of damage to him is by getting like swallowed by like this like slime stuff that comes out from him, and then basically when you get swallowed by the slime, you fight one of Phantom. I don't think you fight Nilo Angelo, but you fight Phantom or Griffin. Where's Griffin? Griffin right here inside of him, and then that actually does it. And then when you basically you'll pop back out and you'll do a fuck ton of damage to him. But other than that, I mean, he takes no damage and he hits hard. I mean, he hits really hard. And so like I said, you can't really spam Devil Trigger. I know I've been saying that a lot, but that's the only that's like kind of like the difficulty measure in the game is if you can spam Devil Trigger on them or not. Because if you can spam Devil Trigger on them, the boss is kind of a fucking joke. They just die in 2 shots, and I don't know. It's like whatever. Actually getting towards the end here. Let's see. Orangera? I think, yeah, this boss. Put him in C, just because he's, like, kind of aggressive. He's just, like, kind of shitty. He's just, like, a plain first boss. Is he the first boss in that game? I don't remember. That's how unmemorable Devil May Cry 2 was. He's one of the first bosses of the game, and he's just really a pushover. He's easy. He looks like he fits the basic theme of the game with just a big monster that, is easy as fuck to kill, and it's in like a decent sized arena, so there's not really much of a challenge. Honestly, it's kind of fucking a joke. Nightmare. It saddens me to put Nightmare down here. I'll probably put him in B. Yeah, probably B. It saddens me because V is such a cool character. The idea that you get to control these spirits that basically fight for you and then you execute people is super fucking cool. So when I saw that you got to fight against that squad, I was super pumped for it. But it's so easy. I mean, there's no challenge at all. Like, it's just like, I just had higher expectations for it, and it just wasn't really all there. Like, it's just really not it. It's super, like, okay, and not even mid. It's pretty shitty, honestly. I mean, it's boring. No one really does a ton of damage to you. It's not really that threatening. And basically you're just chasing Virgil at that point. So they're basically just kind of a roadblock. Is what it make it seem. They don't make it seem like really important or a challenge. It's just more of a roadblock than anything. But yeah. What's next? Is this Proto Angela? We're gonna skip this. I think this is Proto Angela. I don't know what that is. We're gonna skip that. For a second. I imported a lot of pictures for this, so that may have just been one that I think this is Phantom. I think this is the extra. I had an extra Phantom picture in here. I think that's the extra Phantom picture. Anyways, sorry about that. Prototype Angelo. So the first half of this fight is pretty easy, and then once he hits about half health, he supercharges and actually becomes pretty threatening. He's got some fast, quick dashes that can be a little difficult to dodge, and he does do a pretty significant amount of damage. Also, he gives out the close second coolest weapon in the game, which is the motorcycle, and that shit's fucking cool as hell when you can combo with that in there. Also, it's just the Angelo fight. It's a cool little homage to Nilo Angelo from the first game. So yeah, he fights a lot like Nilo Angelo. Same thing, long range, quick dashes. But I just say his difficulty is a little scaled down. He's not really that bad. Clip off roots. I mean, I don't really know what to say about this other than it's just the beginning, the first boss in the game that honestly is pretty underwhelming. And like, just because you're the first boss in the game, I don't think that means it needs to be just a joke. It's stupid. I think, the Goliath, for example, is a perfect example of a really fun, challenging first boss. But I don't know. Sanctus. I think where to put Sanctus. Probably A. I think Sanctus, the first time you fight Sanctus, is pretty trash. He just kind of floats around and dodges your stuff, and then kind of every once in a while throws some shit at you. And honestly, that's kind of how Sanctus is the final time too. Except for when he gets to like these little red aura around him. He gets that when he's at like 20% health, and he like fucking. I remember I was at full health, and that guy fucking murdered me immediately. He is like hyper fast, and he does so much damage. And he does this little like strike that's hard to parry. You have to parry him. You have to use the devil arm that Nero has. Basically parry him, and it's actually like pretty difficult. But I don't know. I think Sanctus is kind of a shitty character. I think he's like whatever, honestly. But I think A is probably a good spot for him with these bosses here. I think it's a good spot. I don't think he's quite an A+ yet. To me S is like the best of the best. A+ is like right on the cusp of that. I think Sanctus belongs at A, honestly. Succubus. This boss is gross. First of all, this boss is fucking nasty. It has a lot of quick time events, which is like kind of whatever for me. It's not bad. I guess you pretty much just fight, just swing on his head, and then just jump from platform to platform. I think it's like pretty average. I think it's like just the super mid fight of DMC Devil May Cry. I don't think it's the worst fight in the game, but it's definitely nowhere near like a Barbus. I think the level's pretty shitty. I don't know. I don't really like it that much. I don't. I think the idea of this demon bug being in the bottom of a soda company that mind controls people is kind of stupid. So, but the fight itself kind of pushes it up to mid. I don't think the fight's terrible necessarily. So, but yeah, Tartar Russian. I think it's B. No, B or C. Honestly, probably B. You know, I don't want to put him in mid. I don't think he's quite mid. If I could put him in between B and mid, I would, because it's kind of like fucking Orangara over here, except it's in a much more enclosed room, and he has two arms that he swings at you with, so it's a little bit more challenging. Plus, you're just getting used to playing as Lucia after you've played the entire Dante campaign, so there's that kind of added feature in it. So yeah, I think other than that, it's fine. I think it's a fine first boss. I don't think it's like amazing, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So, I mean, whatever. The Savior, D tier, bro. The Savior, how cool the Savior looks and how cool the arena is does not push this any higher than D. This boss is shit. I mean, literally, like, it's just platforming. It's literally just Devil May platform. You just basically run and jump on these, around these little platforms, and then basically he slams his hand on the ground. You run up his hand, destroy the blue gems on him, and then the cutscene will push you up to higher and higher and higher platforms, and then eventually get to the final one. And then if you get knocked down, you're going all the way back down, kind of like Infested Chopper, honestly, just not as bad. It's much better than Infested Chopper. I won't lie. I will not lie. Trismagia. I'm gonna put Trismagia in mid because I think the concept of it, with the three heads floating around and then one coming up one at a time and trying to attack you, is actually a pretty decent concept. The problem is the hitbox on this boss is fucking awful. Literally, like, you get hit by things that aren't even close to you, and also hitting it, because in part of it, it's not its fault because of the camera, the fixed camera, but hitting it's also kind of a pain in the ass. But I don't think it's terrible. And it kind of all comes together, and then you can swipe. It comes down. You can kind of swipe at it, or use your gun, whichever one you want to use. So, Urizen, I would say is A+. Urizen's a lot of fun. It's definitely pretty challenging with that crystal, that kind of crystal. Like, he's sitting in his chair and basically just does like AoE attacks at you, and there's like a crystal in front of him that blocks him. And I think that it takes a lot more damage than you think it does. It soaks up a lot of damage, and you gotta do a lot of dodging to get to that point. So it's definitely a stamina battle for sure. It's definitely a how long can you perfectly jump through things and not take enough damage to be able to do this for a while. It's definitely a long fight for sure. I think all we have left is the Virgils, right? Cool. So the Virgils, this is how we're gonna go. Mid for the DMC Devil May Cry, and it's the exact same reason with Mundus. Actually, you know what? Let's do this one last. We'll do this one last. Okay. So Devil May Cry 3 Virgil in where'd he go? There we go. And Devil May Cry 5 Virgil. S tier, honestly. If I could like go like this, I would. If we're going like top 3 right here. So when you're playing as Dante and you're fighting Virgil, that fight is hard as hell because he is so fast and honestly, it's like this for both fights. He is so hyper aggressive. It is ridiculous how difficult it is. He gets really aggressive, and it was actually really frustrating to fight him as Dante. I mean, he's really quick. He does a lot of damage. You honestly gotta take some time to learn his move pool. His move pool is pretty diverse and pretty deep. So, if you get hit by him when he flies around the arena, if you get hit by that, that shit hurts. DMC3 Virgil, it's basically like you can walk up to him, wail on him with Devil Trigger, but kind of like he's so fast in his Devil Trigger that you pretty much have to save your Devil Trigger for bits to even just dodge. So he's also insanely aggressive. The fight in Devil May Cry with him as Beowulf is also when he has Beowulf is a lot of fun because that weapon is cool as hell and you get it after, and Beowulf's super cool. So yeah, definitely the best bosses in the game. And then DMC Devil May Cry Virgil, honestly, I'm putting him on a B. It was a joke. I think he hit me one time. I mean, it's literally just laughable compared to these Virgils. I mean, it's a little bit of a plot twist at the end of the game. But I was just disappointed, honestly. He's really not difficult. He's a really big pushover. He doesn't really do much, honestly. Like, you know, when you play these Virgils, they're flying all over the place, super fast paced. This is just a joke, honestly. Super slow, pushover, takes a ton of damage. You know, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, guys, this is my Devil May Cry tier list personally. Sorry the video was a little long. There's a fuck ton of bosses to go over. So, yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Like I said, sorry for the long hiatus on YouTube. And yeah, I'm glad to be back. Alright, well, have a good day, guys.